Imagine a man who claims he worked on alien spacecraft inside a top-secret U.S. military base. Not in a movie, but in real life. A man who says he's seen technology that bends gravity and matter that shouldn't even exist on Earth. His name is Bob Lazar, and in 1989, he stepped into the spotlight, risking everything to tell a story the government never wanted the world to hear. This isn't just another UFO tale. This is the story that helped put Area 51 on the map. But was he telling the truth? Or is Bob Lazar the most elaborate hoax in UFO history? Let's go back to where it all began. In May 1989, a man appeared on Las Vegas television under the alias Dennis. His face was hidden, his voice distorted. He claimed to have worked at a facility called S4 near the now infamous Area 51. What he described was nothing short of science fiction. 9 flying saucers, anti-gravity propulsion systems, technology not of this Earth. Just a few weeks later, he revealed his real name to the world: Bob Lazar. The man was calm, confident, and disturbingly detailed. He claimed he'd been hired by the U.S. government to reverse engineer alien spacecraft at S4. His job? To figure out how they worked and maybe even recreate them. He spoke about scheduled test flights of these crafts, about an element so heavy and powerful it could bend space and time, and about being watched, followed, even threatened after going public. From that moment, Bob Lazar became a legend, but also a target. Bob Lazar wasn't just some random guy off the street. At least that's what he claimed. He said he studied physics at MIT and electronics at Caltech, 2 of the most prestigious universities in the world. He also said he worked at Los Alamos National Laboratory, a place deeply involved in U.S. weapons research. But here's where things get strange. Investigators tried to verify his academic and work history and found nothing. No records, no transcripts. MIT and Caltech had no record of him ever attending. Los Alamos? No official employment files. And yet, there was a 1982 article in the Los Alamos Monitor newspaper that mentioned him, working as a physicist on a jet-powered Honda. How could that be? How could someone work at a government lab and be featured in the local news, yet have no trace in official databases? Lazar claimed the government erased his past to discredit him, wiped his records clean, made him disappear, on paper. Is that even possible? Or was it a convenient excuse to cover up a fabricated story? Long before Bob Lazar became a household name, Area 51 was already the subject of rumors. Officially, it's a highly classified U.S. Air Force facility located in the Nevada desert. Coordinates? 37 degrees, 14 minutes, 6 seconds north, 115 degrees, 48 minutes, 40 seconds west. It doesn't appear on most maps. Civilian flights can't pass over it. And for decades, the government wouldn't even admit it existed. Built in the 1950s, it was originally used for testing the U-2 spy plane during the Cold War. Later, other advanced aircraft like the SR-71 Blackbird were also developed there. But here's where things get murky. Locals started reporting strange lights in the sky, unusual craft moving faster than anything they'd ever seen. The secrecy of the base only fueled the conspiracy theories: UFO storage, alien autopsies, experimental tech decades ahead of its time. For many, Area 51 became the epicenter of extraterrestrial speculation. But it wasn't until Bob Lazar came forward that people began to ask, what else is the government hiding out there? According to Bob Lazar, Area 51 wasn't even where the real secrets were kept. He claimed he worked at a facility called S4, a hidden base carved into the side of a mountain just south of Area 51, near Papoose Lake. The entrance: camouflaged hangar doors, blending perfectly into the rocky hillside. You'd never even know it was there. Inside, he said, were 9 extraterrestrial spacecraft, fully intact, not wreckage, not prototypes, real, functional craft. stored and studied by U.S. scientists. Lazar described intense levels of security, armed guards, biometric scanners, constant surveillance. Each scientist was compartmentalized, only allowed to know a small piece of the puzzle. Lazar's assignment? Study the propulsion system of one of the craft. He wasn't allowed to ask questions. He wasn't allowed to roam freely, and he wasn't allowed to take anything out, though he claims he memorized a lot. The most chilling detail. He says one of the craft looked exactly like the classic flying saucer people report in UFO sightings, and inside, it wasn't built for humans. According to Bob Lazar, the craft he worked on was not built by human hands. It had no seams, no bolts, no wires. Everything looked smooth, almost like it was grown, not constructed. At the center of the ship was a gravity amplifier system, 3 bell-shaped devices that could bend space-time itself. He said the craft didn't fly the way we understand flight. It manipulated gravity, allowing it to fall forward rather than push against the air like jets or rockets. Picture this, a craft turning belly up before takeoff, because that's the direction of its gravity beam. Then, whoosh, it silently lifts and zips away. Lazar described the sport model craft he worked on in detail. He even drew diagrams of its interior, a central reactor, the gravity amplifiers, and a cockpit too small for an adult human. He claimed that during testing, he actually saw one of the craft in flight, hovering silently, performing maneuvers no human aircraft could replicate. It defied physics. Unless it was using physics we don't yet understand. At the core of the alien craft's propulsion, Bob Lazar claimed, was a mysterious element. Something not found naturally on Earth. Something beyond our periodic table at the time. He called it Element 115. According to Lazar, this element was incredibly heavy and stable, and when properly processed, it could produce a powerful gravitational field. He described it as the fuel for the anti-gravity reactor. When bombarded with protons, element 115 would release energy through a reaction that bent space and time. At the time of Lazar's interview in 1989, element 115 didn't exist in any scientific database. Then, in 2003, scientists officially synthesized a new element, moscovium, or element 115. But here's the catch. The version we've created is highly unstable. It decays in milliseconds. Lazar insists the alien version is a stable isotope, one we still haven't discovered or reproduced. If true, it would change everything we know about physics, and it would mean that our visitors are far more advanced than we can imagine. More than 3 decades later, the story of Bob Lazar still divides people. To some, he's a whistleblower, a man who risked everything to reveal a hidden truth. To others, he's a fraud, spinning a tale too wild to be real. The lack of records, the unverifiable background, it all raises suspicion. But then again, why would a hoaxer include details about element 115 years before it was publicly discovered? Why would he expose himself to ridicule, government pressure, and threats? For a lie? Even today, Bob Lazar sticks to his story, word for word. No changes, no contradictions. He doesn't seek fame, he avoids the spotlight, and he continues to say the same thing. I wish it wasn't true. So what do we do with his story? Is it the key to one of the greatest cover-ups in history? Or just a myth that got out of control? Maybe the truth lies somewhere in between, and maybe, just maybe, we're not alone.